Hey there YouTube, this is SJM4306 back with another video. This time, it's a repair video of sorts. So, towards the end of last year, I actually got this Nintendo Switch Lite for actually pretty cheap. I think I got it for somewhere's under like $100. If you know, these generally do not go for that cheap. And this one is physically in very good condition. Came with the original box. Pretty much the only thing it didn't come with was the charger. But that's fine. I already have a full-size Switch. I just wanted a slightly smaller Switch to take with me, so I can game, while at work during lunch. But anyway, there were two things wrong with it. One of them that the seller knew about, and the other one I think they just didn't know. Must have been their kids' their kids' unit, because so the problem that it still has is the Y button is sticky, like literally, not the outside, but inside. If I click it, you might be able to hear it like popped because there's something that spilled inside of there. I'm guessing that is making the actual membrane itself stick. So once you click it, it kind of returns to normal, but if I let it sit for a little while, it like re-sticks that button. Button works perfectly, all the buttons work perfectly. Joysticks are still good, so it must not have many hours on it. But yeah, I want to fix that. The second thing that was wrong was actually the reason why it was so heavily discounted. It had a parental lock on it, and the seller obviously didn't know what the passcode was, and they didn't know that you could actually get Nintendo to reset those. So I guess they just figured maybe it wasn't even their Switch Lite. Maybe it was they got it secondhand or whatever the reason was. They did not know how to unlock it, period. So they just thought it was, good for spares. So they sold it as is for spares. And so I picked this up, and all you have to do to unlock it is you just Google like unlock Nintendo Switch parental code, and it takes you to a website, and Nintendo's website, and you have to go into the settings, find the like serial number for this guy, enter that, and then it will it charges you 99 cents, I believe, to perform the unlock. But once you pay, it'll give you a code that you then type into when you go to unlock this. You type it into that screen, and then it just unlocks it. And it was really easy. This works 100% now, other than this sticky Y button. So we're going to fix the sticky Y button today. So first step is it's off, and I'm just going to take out the memory cards in the game, everything. So just make sure that nothing can snap while I'm working on this. Now keep in mind, this is the first time I'm working on this. I did quite a while ago look at a like a teardown video, but I've never actually popped this open myself. And this unit, as far as I can tell, it's perfect. It's never been open. So first, I see two Phillips on the top, two Phillips on the bottom. So we are going to take those off. Oh yeah, you might have noticed I don't have my regular silicone mat. It's actually washed. I washed it. It got really dirty after the last repairs, so I had to actually scrub it. And this is just to make sure that I don't scratch the screen or anything if I put this face down. Anyway, got those 4 screws out. Now there are 4 more. These appear to be tri-wings, so we are going to need a tri-wing screwdriver. Okay, so with those out of the way, I believe now there are a couple clips. Basically, the back half of the shell will clip off. So I'm going to need a little pry tool, possibly one of these sort of guitar pick looking things. But I'm going to start at the bottom, maybe actually one of the corners. And you just got to be careful. There are speaker vents here that you can, looks like it'd be pretty easy to accidentally poke them in. And once again, before you even take them apart, make sure you pull out any memory cards or anything like that, because those would obstruct and prevent it from opening easily. And it looks like it's starting to pop off. The speaker's trying to come along for the ride. There we go. So I only had to do the bottom. The top also has clips, but once you get like half of it, it's pretty good to go. Going to... Yeah, there's a little bit resistance near this port here, so I'm just gonna, just pry a little bit, and there you go. So now this is off. You can see the back, it's really not dusty, so this was actually really in good condition. There's a little bit of dust, just blow that out before I put it back together. But yeah, all in all, pretty good condition. Got the rubber membrane, came along for the ride for the buttons on the top. The vents on the bottom actually look pretty clean. Anyway, you can see here, nice and shiny. We have our fan. We have the heat sink, which there's a little bit of something going on there. So it might take some compressed air and just make sure that that's all blown out. Yeah, there's a little bit of some kind of dust or something in there, but really not that bad actually. Unfortunately, so if you wanted to fix this D-pad side, it's just a couple screws and one board that you can flip over. You don't even have to detach the ribbons. You can gain access to that to clean, but to gain access to these the face pad buttons, you actually need to remove the entire motherboard. So that's going to be a pain in the butt. It's just a bunch of Phillips screws though. So I'm going to take off the shielding now. Also, keep in mind the battery's still plugged in, even though the unit's off. So you just do have to be a little bit careful. Try not to short anything. And as I'm doing this, I'm realizing some of these screws are actually different sizes. So I'm going to have to keep track of them. There we go. Now it's loosey-goosey. So, peeled this off. Got a bunch of thermal interface material there. Gonna try not to touch that. I might have to replace that with some thermal paste. The only thing is this seems significantly tackier and like bulkier than normal thermal paste. So if you just use regular thermal paste, it might not actually fill the gap so well. But just gonna set the shielding aside. And yeah. So here we have the main board. I believe we're gonna have to take out the kind of this heat sink, the heat pipe and the fan next. So I guess just get to it. Okay, it looks like the fan does have a little ribbon that goes, I think that's to the fan. Just gonna lift the tab on that and carefully pull the ribbon out slowly. There we go. Just don't want to rip that up. And it actually looks like we're going to have to separate. There's some foam attaching the fan to the heat pipe part, because one of the screws for the fan is underneath. I can see two screws here, and there's one in the corner there. So I'm going to actually have to lift up on the heat pipe to separate it from the CPU, and just carefully peel. There's a little bit of foam connecting the two, and it comes right off. So yeah, that actually looks pretty dry. So I probably will end up cleaning and putting on some more thermal paste there, like fresh thermal paste. Though to be fair, the console doesn't seem to really run hot compared to like my full-size Switch. So it might be a bit overkill, the thermal design, but anyway. Guess get the fan out next. Yeah, actually the screws just came along. So here's the fan. Just gonna set that aside. Yeah, look how clean this is. It's maybe a little bit of dust, but yeah, this was actually really new unit, it looks like. We have the antennas for the Wi-Fi. One goes up here, the other goes down here. Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, I believe. I guess we could just disconnect those. You don't probably have to take them out of the case, but just so that they're out of the way. we have a ribbon. Lift the latch up on that. And just pop that out of the way. Now we have access to the battery. Gonna disconnect that. It's annoying. Normally the first step in any repair is to take out the battery to disconnect it, but here you really can't disconnect it till you get very deep into the teardown. So it's, yeah, it is what it is. So just gonna lift up. It's like one of these Lego style snap connectors. Be very careful. It is possible to actually break either the base or the connector itself. So when you're prying up on the cable, just be very careful, go kind of slow, and if you need to kind of rock it back and forth to disconnect it. So just going to close those latches so I don't accidentally break them off. We have a ton more screws, so I don't need to mess with this side. The D-pad, everything on this side works fine. But I do need to get, there's actually the water sensor. It looks kind of pinkish. I don't see any corrosion though, so I don't think that's really an issue. But anyway, yeah, as I got distracted. So probably gonna need to get this speaker off. Just gonna... Anyway, we got one screw, it looks like, holding in the speaker. The three here just hold on the resonant chamber, which you shouldn't need to remove. So it looks like this speaker's actually, there's one screw holding it and securing it, but it actually goes underneath the motherboard. So you can loosen this for now, but you can't totally remove it till you remove the motherboard. Okay, let's see. Just gonna undo this ribbon for now. Looks like that goes to the joystick. Gonna wiggle, wiggle. There we go. Put that latch down so I don't break it accidentally later. There are a couple screws. Looks like we need to actually take off the cart slot and maybe the headphone jack. Look at this ribbon. Just goes over to both of them, but splits off for the headphone jack. That's interesting. Have to be really careful not to rip any of these ribbons or damage any of the connectors. And it looks like 3 screws for the cart slot and then another 4 for the headphone jack. Okay, so the headphone jack is now loose. Now we just got to get the 3 for the cart slot reader. Okay, so all these should be off. So just gonna undo the latch on the connector and then carefully lift it out. You can see here, there's actually, good job, Nintendo. I was worried, what if the headphone jack breaks? But there's actually a second connector, so you could just replace the headphone jack without having to replace the cart slot. Good thinking, Nintendo. So just set that to the side. Now where are we? Just gonna flip this over. It's gonna keep sticking to the adhesive. Okay, actually pretty small battery. This is only 3570 milliamp hours, so 13.6 watt hours at the nominal 3.8 volts. Looks like the top of the range is 4.35 volts, so interesting. I wonder if that, because that usually regular like lithium polymer batteries they top out at like 4.2 volts. This is a little bit higher. I wonder if this is some special chemistry battery. Anyway, okay. So what do we got now? We just have 2 screws on the USB-C connector. We have another ribbon here. This, actually, oh, this connector isn't for the display. It goes over to this side, so it goes to the left side controller board. This is the actual, well, one of these, this is probably the ribbon connector for the display. This is probably the ribbon connector for the touch panel. But yeah, just gonna get those unlocked. Have to be really careful I don't damage. Slowly rock them back and forth till they pop out on their own accord. There we go. Just flip these latches down. Okay, So I think all the ribbons are disconnected now. Now it's just, like I said, 2 screws here, 1 screw here, 1 screw here, 1 screw here, and probably need to remove this shoulder button as well, which probably needs to be done now. So that just pops off. There is a little spring though, like a little captive spring in there. Make sure that does not pop off and jump away. Just going to, as I say that, and the button falls out. See, I'm already losing parts. This is a rubber button that goes on the ZL button or whatever it's called. Don't lose that, as I almost did. Okay, so now that's off. Now I just undo all the screws. Okay, I think I've gotten everything off. This board should now be more or less free to move. Just gonna take a close look, make sure. Yeah, there's a little adhesive. Make sure you have all the ribbons before you start prying this, because if any of the ribbons are still connected, you'll likely damage the will damage them as you go to pry this off. So, motherboard can come out now. Speaker can come out. And yeah, this is the entire motherboard, by the way. It's just this tiny little thing. You can see some of the chips on the other side here. You can see the face buttons, as well as the the plus or the minus button up here, and the shoulder button is actually this separate little thing, like a tack switch. This, I believe, is like the screenshot button. Interesting. Yeah, I could see some like really flat. Not sure. They look kind of like inductors or capacitors. I don't know. Interesting package though. Anyway, beyond that, yeah, we have all the USB charging circuitry doohickeys here. Looks like we have like a flash or a RAM chip or something. We have a STM32. Interesting. I believe very similar to what is running the Game & Watch handheld, like the anniversary edition ones that Nintendo did. It's similar 32-bit processor that they're using there. And yeah. So, as always, try to handle boards by the edges. Don't touch the actual chips themselves. And I know it's not a good idea to be working on bubble wrap generally for ESD reasons, but yeah, as long I have a metal rack next to me that is grounded, and as long as you like touch a grounded, metal thing, it'll discharge you before you go and touch anything, so you don't ruin anything. Anywho, we are finally down to the actual buttons themselves, and I can peel off the membrane and see why the Y button is sticky. This is the membrane that actually looks fairly clean. It's actually this button here, which is stuck already. And just gonna peel this off, and we're gonna look, as I drop it a million times, gonna look at the button itself. Yeah, come on, there we go. You can see it's physically dirty. It looks like some sort of soda or juice was spilled in there, which means we had to clean that and then clean the inside, the inner rim. So that is what's causing this to stick every once in a while. So I need to grab some Q-tips and some isopropyl alcohol. I actually have some isopropyl alcohol here, like 99% or something, 91%. Pretty high percentage, but I need to get some Q-tips. So give me 1 sec. And just continue to clean everything. Might want to be doing this with gloves on. But I'm just gonna wash my hands afterwards. Yeah. I mean, it's really only this one button, and really only just around this one edge that got dirty, which is actually kind of surprising. I would have thought there'd be a lot more extensive damage. So we're just gonna get in there. And yeah. You can see Q-tip's already dirty. Gonna come back on the other side. So I don't ever really want to have to keep opening this up, so I'm going to thoroughly clean. And while I'm at it, I'm going to pull out all the other buttons and make sure that there's absolutely nothing under there. So give me one sec. So there's a tiny little bit on the B button, but yeah, nowhere near as much. But all the other buttons look clean, so good to go. I think it was just literally concentrated in this one area. And now it's pretty much a reverse of everything that I did to put this all together. Making sure to put the speaker in first, so that, because I know I'm going to forget that and then get the motherboard all screwed in and realize that you can't put the speaker in after the motherboard goes in. And this is going to be slightly annoying because you have to actually make sure that the ribbon cables and all the connectors and stuff don't get trapped under the board when you go to put it in. So going to have to, probably using tweezers or something, make sure that everything is above board, so to speak. I want to say that's everything. Then it's just a matter of, there we go. Just have to be careful. The way that this ribbon is folded over itself, you can see it's folded. That was getting stuck on that board, so I had to carefully use tweezers to pull it enough so that the board can sit flat. Okay, so now we are ready to screw everything down. Now this feels great. It's not sticking anymore. Make sure all the buttons still work. So yeah, there are little like plastic molding bits that make sure that you can't rotate the buttons. If those aren't seated correctly, then the buttons will kind of be partially pressed or maybe even fully pressed permanently. So you need to make sure that everything is seated properly before you screw it down. Okay, so everything's back in. Buttons still feel good. So now we have to plug everything in that we unplugged. Just gonna start with these antennas because otherwise they're just kind of in the way and flopping around, and I don't like things that flop around. So there is some plastic molding that this wire actually seats down in to just tuck it out of the way. I'm just gonna put it in there so I don't have to worry about it. Okay, next up, the speaker. Tiny little Molex connector looking thing. Joystick ribbon next. Yeah, you see they actually have a line on the gold printing on the PCB. There's a trace that shows you where the tab should end. There's actually two parts of the tab. There's like this clear part and then this yellowish orange end part that shows you how far it has to go in order to be fully seated. Interestingly enough, there's actually an unpopulated connector here. I wonder if that's for this, maybe the speaker, but a different style or something. But yeah, anyway. We have this connector up next. Just gonna lift this latch again. I tucked all the latches in to protect them while I was working on the board, but now they have to come back out. Then we push in the ears. Get it on even, then we push the latch back down. Same thing for this guy. Open the latch. This one's a bit of a tighter fit though, so a little more annoying to work with because the ribbon cable is pretty short. There we go. As I got my finger on here, damn it. Now I have thermal paste on my finger, great. Okay, so what else do we got? We have these for the headphone jack. I'm not going to do this side yet. That's probably going to be like one of the last things I put back in, because then I have to plug the battery in, and I don't want to be working on this bare board with the battery exposed. So I guess we could do the shoulder button now. The shoulder button, I'm going to put this side in first. There's a little spring right in here to make sure that goes in correctly. There's a little U-shaped cavity in the plastic molding to prevent that, to hold it captive basically. And so yeah, this is in, it clicks nicely, we're good to go. Then we just have this part of the button. There's plastic pegs in the molding to align it. Got those situated, and now let's see. 2 screws I just put down. Okay, that all feels good. Both shoulder buttons pressed. These I didn't modify, so they should feel the same. I didn't open this side. Yeah, they feel the same. We're good to go. Okay, now the cart slot thingy. Actually, I guess I didn't need to remove this power button. So I will put that back in before I forget. This just sits in here, I guess. I would have thought there'd be some kind of adhesive or something, but nope. There's just a little peg there in the plastic that it has to sit behind. There's a cutout very nicely in the molding of the plastic there to feed the actual cable through the flex ribbon. And there, so that's good to go. What else do we need? The memory card. So, or not the memory card, the game card and the headphone jack next. Flip the latch up. It's probably easier to fit this now while the rest of it's loose. You can kind of wiggle it. It'll slot right in like that, and then you can just press that in. And you just align this, and we are going to go and screw all of this in now. The way they install these at the factory, there's actually no molding, and they don't use like a bit to form the groove where the screw fits into the plastic. They actually kind of force it in, and it creates the threads into the plastic. So when you remove it, it'll be nice and tight, but when you go to put it back on, if you don't line up the threads with the original cut, you'll actually do what's called cross threading, which weakens. You can possibly strip out the head of the screw, A. B, you'll weaken the integrity of like the strength of the screw inside the slot, so it can rip out easier like that. So what you have to do is when you go to screw it in, you just reverse it a little bit till you hear a click, and you apply gentle inward pressure, and you'll hear a click as it seats down into the original thread. Then you start rotating it clockwise to retighten it, and that way you can be ensured that you're not creating a cross thread. And you kind of get a feel for it. If you start screwing something down and it feels like it's really hard, it's not going very well smoothly, it's probably because you're cross-threaded, so you should back out and try again. So this only applies to like self-tapping screws into plastic threads. If there's a metal insert, then you could, I guess you could cross-thread it, but it's a lot harder. So generally speaking, those are a little easier to work on. Okay, so now our headphone jack's in, game card's in. What do we have next up? I guess we kind of just have the fan and the, as I lose all the screws, we have the fan and the, whatchamacallit for it, the heat pipe. So I'm just going to open the ZIF connector latch for the fan. This one's kind of annoying because it's like tucked upside down and weird. Okay, get it aligned. Sort of push down and push the connector inwards, and then we can flip that latch down. So now that's in correctly. Just make sure it sits properly in the channel. Okay, it looks like it catches a little bit on this ribbon, so I'm just going to pull that up. So here's the point where I have to find where the heck I put my thermal paste. And I have to try to clean off as much of this as I can. Give me 1 second. This might actually take me a while. I boxed up most of my stuff, and now I have some stuff unpacked, but I don't know where everything is. So I'm going to check where I last put the thermal paste in a drawer on this desk. If it's not there, then I guess I'm just going to have to button this up, open it up another time, and when I buy some more thermal paste or find my old thermal paste, then I'll get back to it. Give me 1 sec to look, though. Hopefully I do have it here. We are in luck. I found my Ceramique 2 Arctic Silver thermal paste. I bought this from Radio Shack when I was like, I think I must have only been like 15 or 16, and I still have some of this left. I don't know how much, but I've used actually kind of a lot of this over the years. So I guess what I'm gonna do is this pink thermal paste, I think, is sort of not really regular thermal paste. I'm just gonna scrape it off and put it on this top because that's still gooey. You can still actually probably use that. That probably works fine. But the gray stuff is all dried out. It's not even tacky anymore, so it's probably not doing a very good job. So the rest of it, I'm just going to hit with some IPA. Yeah, I know I'm scraping the copper tape. That's literally just copper tape on the top. But I'm just gonna toss this. It's all old and hard. And we just go over this with some IPA. Yeah, I kind of made a bodge work of that. I scraped the copper tape a little bit, but it'll work. It's fine. This isn't rocket surgery. That's literally the point of thermal paste, is to fill in gaps. You can see the die itself is actually only, if I take my tweezers, the die itself is only about this wide. It's a square. So all this on the outside actually really doesn't do much of anything, thermally at least. Jeez, this is rather dirty. But yeah, so that side's clean. I'm just gonna take, hopefully this hasn't dried out too. As I said, this is like more than a decade old. Well over a decade, actually. And we're just gonna apply a dollop. That should be enough, more than enough. And now I'm gonna have to clean this side off as well. Yeah, you can see just how crusty it is. This calls for more IPA. There we go. This is actually the more important side not to scratch up, because this is sort of machined flat. This is literally just copper tape sitting on top of the die as like a rudimentary interface layer. Okay, so there we go. Now I'm going to set this on top and get some more of this shit on my finger. Great, as I forget that there's thermal paste like all over the place now. Okay, now the pressure when we actually go to screw this bracket down is really what's going to be squishing that thermal paste flat. So I'm going to get the screws started but not tighten them all the way, and then we'll just sort of do a circular pattern. I really need to wash my hands. I have thermal paste all over my hands. Give me 1 sec. Okay, now I'm going to sort of go in a circle and tighten them little by little till they're bottomed out, more or less. This should be good enough. This plate, the silver plate, actually acts a bit like a spring, so there is some compliance. So yeah, that should be enough pressure now to have squished that thermal paste down. Now you're just going to want to press the foam down on top of the fan. This sort of acts a bit like a shroud or something to force the air to go out the front there rather than the top. There's a little bit of something going on. Yeah, there's maybe a little bit of dust or something in there. But yeah, the actual vent itself, this will focus on it. There you go. Looks clean. Don't see any like major dust or anything in there. So now I guess we can, well, we have to at this point, plop the battery in and then reconnect this other half of the board. So you just line it and then you press down and it'll click. Easy enough. This ribbon cable, likewise, you align it, you insert the contacts, and then you flip the bar. And there, we're good to go on that side. So just give it one last inspection. Make sure everything looks fine. And we're just going to squash this back down. I don't have any of this type of thermal paste. This type is different than this paste type. This is more like a gel type. It's thicker because there's a bigger gap between here and here. If you just piled on a lot of this type, it actually tends to act more like an insulator, not really a very good thermal conductor. This is only really efficient when it's like a very thin layer. So that's why they have this different type. That's why they had two types of thermal compound here. Okay, so before I actually put the back on, I will actually do a power test. So make sure it still comes on, make sure the speakers work, make sure the fan goes. And before we actually button this fully up. Okay, so two more things that need to be mentioned. Actually, three more things, I guess. There are little metal tabs actually holding this side on. They're actually right here and right here. And so you can't actually pull this off straight or put it on straight. You actually have to put it at an angle, hook those, and then lay it down flat like that. So I had trouble getting this on when I was putting this back together. Another thing is you just got to be careful. This ribbon here, because of the way it bends, if it got caught on the metal shield, it's sharp enough that could actually like rip that cable. So just be careful when you're putting that down to just lift this slightly to clear it. Also, I noticed that there is some slight other liquid damage on the board. There's a spot right here, one right here, and then there's some green oxidation growing on like right on the edge of this connector here. I can't see inside, and as far as I can tell, I mean, I don't think anything really got in there, but just like started growing. So I cleaned that off with isopropyl alcohol, and it all looks clean now. But yeah, that might be a potential issue. Very long ways down the road if some corrosion actually did get into there. Sorry about that. Some corrosion actually did get into there. I might have to desolder that connector and solder a new one, or probably easier, just buy a new one of these boards. I can't imagine this button board costs more than like 15 bucks. So I might end up doing that. But yeah, nothing on the other side. But yeah, definitely there was some moisture that got in here. But yeah. Anywho, got this for cheap enough. Can't really complain. So I guess, yeah, I ran a quick test. Fan kicks on. I actually had to start a new game of Breath of the Wild and run it for quite a while. The Lite must be really efficient compared to the original Switch. On that console, the fan, once you start up Breath of the Wild, fan kicks in almost immediately. This took like half an hour of me like restarting a new game of Breath of the Wild to actually kick in. It only got slightly warm around the CPU area, so it took kind of ages for it to heat up to the point where it needed the fan. But anyway, we are good enough. I'm just going to start putting this together. Make sure, yeah, to test, I had to put in the memory card. I tested before I screwed this back on because I know I'm not going to want to reopen this. But yeah, make sure that nothing's inserted, no SD card, no game card. And we're just going to clip this back on again, starting at the top. And yeah, make sure the clips are seated. Then go around the side, go around the other side, the bottom, and they're all good to go. And there we go. Then we can just pop in my memory cards, etc., etc. Okay, just give it one last power test. Wow, there's a lot of fingerprints on that screen. Let me just clean it off so it looks somewhat presentable. Okay, touchscreen still works. So this controller works. This controller works. Test input devices, controller buttons. And this and this. Hold down any button to end test. Oh, accidentally took a screen cap. And that works. Y button no longer feels sticky. Everything feels pretty good. And we're good to go. So yeah, that was a bit of a long-winded video. Sorry about that. And sorry about the lighting and everything. Normally I would have the nice blue mat, but that's still drying. Didn't want to scratch anything up, so I had this sort of, non-ideal bubble wrap sort of there, making it kind of hard to see, and apparently the camera focus really did not like it either. But yeah, hopefully that showed you the general process on how to take one of these apart, how to, number one, re-thermal paste if you wanted to re-thermal paste. Number two, how to also get to the face buttons to fix them up. Getting to this side is easy. It's just a couple screws on that side, a couple ribbons, but it's kind of generally the same idea. You just have to lift that board, and then you can clean anything that you want on this side. This side's more involved because you literally have to take apart the entire console just to get to them. But yeah, very happy with that. No longer sticky Y button, like creaky soda spilled in it Y button. Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully if you guys have a Switch Lite, this helped you if you had a spill and some of your buttons got messed up. Anyway, I will see you in the next one. Bye.